Hi friends and subscribers, this is Sheikh, and from past few videos I am working on developing the functionality of CRUD application using PHP, jQuery and AJAX. In my last video I completed the functionality of viewing a single user. Okay, so whenever I will be clicking on this eye icon to any of the record, I was getting the details of that particular user. Okay, so this one we had completed in our last video, and in this video we will discuss about updating the record or updating the user details. Okay, so here as you can see, here I have already did that functionality. Okay, and when I click on any of this edit icon to edit the record, a model will get popped up. Okay, so from here I can edit that information. Okay, Albert, I can make it to Selena. Okay, Selena, Albert. Okay, and then I will change the image. Okay, let me just select some other image. Okay, so now I will click on update and it will give me a message as user updated successfully, and when I click OK, you will see the information will get changed. Username, email and image, all this gets changed. Okay, so in this video we will going to see that how we can develop this functionality of updating the record using PHP and AJAX. Okay, so now in this case where we are going to update the information of any user, we are doing two things here. Okay, first thing is we are getting the details of that particular user to which we want to update whenever I click on this icon. Okay, so whenever I click on this edit icon, what I'm doing is I'm getting the record from the table and displaying it inside this model. Okay, and then later on I will be updating the information based on the requirement. Okay, so I'm doing two things here. Okay, so now let us first see how we can get this data from the table whenever I click on the edit icon. Okay, so this functionality we have already discussed. We have already covered this in our last video where we were discussing about viewing the information of any specific user. Okay, so for this as well we have to perform the same functionality. We have to write the same set of code for displaying the information of the user which we want to update whenever I click on the edit icon. Okay, so now let us quickly move to this functionality of getting the information of that user to which we want to update and display it inside this model. Okay, so for this what we have to do is first we need to go to this view.php file from where this information is coming. All these records are coming from the view.php file. Inside this file I have created three links. One is view, another one is edit, and last one is delete. Okay, so now our concern is to edit the record. Okay, so to this edit link which you can see here, this is the edit link. To this edit link I have set the ID of the user. Okay, and to this I have also set the data target as edit user model. Okay, so to the link, edit link, I have set the ID of that record, and also I have set the ID of the model which I want to display whenever I click on the edit icon. Okay, so this edit user model is exactly same ID which I have given it here. Okay, so here inside my index.php you can see I have created a form, and inside that form I have created a model, and to this model I have given an ID as edit user model. This same ID I am referencing inside this view.php file, so that whenever I click on this edit icon I should call the model with the ID as edit user model, which is this one. Okay, so that's what going on here. Okay, so whenever I click on this edit icon I will be calling the model whose ID is edit user model. Okay, so now next thing is, okay, so whenever after I display this model, inside this I have created this username, email, gender and user file elements. Okay, so now that's what I have done here. Okay, so first I have created a form, and to this form I have assigned an ID as update user, which I will be using for updating the information. And here one more attribute I have taken, which is enc type, which is encryption type. Okay, so here you need to mention what type of data I'm going to operate. I'm operating both data and image, that's why I have mentioned here as multi-part / form data. And then here I have created a div with ID as edit user model, regarding which I have already told you. Okay, and inside that I have created a div. Okay, and then model content, model header, and then there is a title, and immediately after that there is a close button, which is this close button. Okay, and then I have created a hidden field. Okay, so I have created a hidden input field with the ID. Okay, so with this ID I am sending to my update user.php file. Okay, so whenever I am trying to update the record, okay, so this we will look at in after some time. Okay, and then here I have created a username, and I have a username text box, and to this I have given a name as username and ID as user_name. Like this I have created email, gender and user image. Okay, and at the end I have a model footer, and here inside this I have created a button with the ID as update. Okay, and then a button, close button. Okay, another button to close the model, and immediately I'm loading the page the moment when I close the model. Okay, so now here first thing we need to do is we need to display the information of this selected user to which I want to update. Okay, suppose if I want to update the details of this user, and when I click on this edit icon, here I have to display this model, and as well as I need to display the details of that selected user. Okay, so for that, okay, so for displaying the details, okay, what I have done is, okay, let me go to viewer.php. Okay, so here the moment when I click on the edit icon, I'll be making an AJAX post request. Okay, as you can see that I have given an ID as edit. Okay, so whenever I will be clicking on this edit icon, okay, I am calling an AJAX function here. Okay, at the end. Okay, this one. Okay, as you can see here I have mentioned the same ID which I have assigned here. Okay, so with this ID I will come to know that this jQuery code will get executed. Okay, so whenever I click on the edit icon, which is this, here this JavaScript or jQuery script will get executed. Okay, so the moment when I click on edit icon, I will be getting the ID of that record, and that ID I will come to know with this. Okay, let me just inspect. Okay, as you can see here I have assigned the ID of that record. Okay, if you go to viewer.php, you will see this is the ID. Okay, I have assigned the ID of that record to that link. So whenever I click on that edit icon, I'm referencing the ID of that record, and I'm assigning that ID inside this jQuery code, okay, which is stored inside this ID variable. Okay, and then immediately after that I will be, okay, let me just show you that. I will just comment it out. Okay, and just put an alert. Okay, save it, close it. Just refresh. Okay, so whenever I click on this edit icon, you will see the ID of that record will get displayed. Okay, close it. Whenever I click on this record, the ID of this specific record will get displayed, and here the model will get displayed. But right now this model doesn't giving me or showing me the information of that user, because I have commented out that functionality here. Okay, let me just uncomment it. Okay, so now once I get the ID, I will be making an AJAX post request to this edit user.php file. Okay, by passing the ID, which is this ID, I am passing to edit user.php to get the data from the MySQL table. Okay, so as you can see, just see it. Okay, so I will get the ID, and then I will make an AJAX post request to this edit user.php, and I will send the ID of that record to edit user.php, and then I will use that ID and execute this SQL query and get the data of that specific user from the table, and then I will assign that data, which is ID, username, email, gender, and user file, to this view data array, and then I will import that entire data in the JSON format, and then I'll return that data again to my index.php file here. Okay, so here I'm getting the data. I will just comment it out, and then alert data dot username. Okay, if I want to view the username information of that user, then when I click on this, you will see the username only will get returned. Okay, close. And if I want to know the gender information of that record, then I will refresh, and when I click on this, it will display the gender. Okay, so now what we have done is we have successfully managed to get the data of that specific user from the MySQL table based on the ID which we have passed. Okay, so now all this information is returning by this edit user.php. Okay, so here in this file I am getting the data, and I am returning the data in the JSON format to index.php, and here I have passed that data using parse JSON method. Okay, let's remove it. Okay, and then okay, now you can see, now I need to display the data. Now I got the data. Okay, now I got the username, user ID, email, user and image. Okay, now I need to display the data inside the model. The moment when I click on this edit icon, all this information should get displayed inside these text boxes exactly the way now it's displaying. Okay, so now if I comment all this, you will not see this information. Okay, so now I'll make this refresh, and when I click on this, you will see now there's nothing displaying. Okay, because I have commented out. Okay, so now I need to display this information. For displaying that information inside this text, inside this text boxes, I have passed this data ID information inside user ID. Okay, username information inside username text box, email information inside email text box, and then gender information inside gender, and image information inside the image. Okay, so how I have done that? I have passed this data to this form based on the ID which I have created inside this HTML code. Okay, so here as you can see, I have created an ID as username, ID as email underscore ID, and for gender I have created user underscore gender, and for displaying the image I have created the user ID as user underscore user file. So I'm using these IDs here inside my code. Okay, here I'm using these IDs, user ID, username, user underscore email, user underscore gender. Okay, so I'm passing and I'm displaying that information with the help of this ID, and then I'm creating an image variable, and inside that I'm creating an image tag with the height and width 100 pixel, and then I'm passing the URL of the image. Okay, just show you that as well. Alert enter or user file. Okay, just close it, and when I click on this record, you will see the path inside which this particular image is being saved. Okay, so this path I am passing to source attribute of image element. Okay, and then I am appending that to the image element. Okay, I am appending the image link or path to image tag. Okay, by doing this I am getting the data of that selected user. Okay, so now you can see all information of that specific user is displaying inside this model. Okay, so now we have completed the functionality of viewing the specific record which I want to update. Okay, now I need to actually update that record. Okay, so for doing that, whenever I click on this update after making changes in these details, when I click on update, the data should get updated immediately. Okay, so for doing that, what I should do is I have created an ID to this update button, and I'll be executing a jQuery function. Okay, I will be making an AJAX post request to update user.php, which is this. Okay, so now we will just go to HTML code. Here you can see I have created a button update, and to this update I have given an ID as update, and this ID I am passing. With this ID I am making an AJAX request by using on click event. Okay, so the same ID I am referencing here, which you can see here. Okay, I have given an ID to the button, and with this ID I am making an AJAX post on click event. Okay, and here and to this here I have created an object of the form. Okay, and to this form I have given an ID as update user ID. This update user ID I am passing here to my form object. Okay, now the next thing is I need to get the data. Okay, whatever data is placed inside this text boxes and drop down and this file input type, whatever data is there inside these elements, I need to get this data. Okay, so to get this data I am using the ID of those elements. Okay, user ID, I am getting the ID with the user ID. Okay, and I am getting the username with the username ID which I have assigned to this text box, and I'm getting the email with the ID I have assigned to this email text box. Like this, I'm getting the gender information and user file information with their respective IDs. Okay, along with this username, gender, email and user file information, one more thing I need to send to my update user.php file as a post request, which is the ID. Okay, and this ID I'm sending as a hidden field, as you can see here. Since I'm making a post request, I'm sending this user ID information as a hidden field to update user.php. Okay, next, okay, then I'm checking whether username, email, gender and user file fields are empty. Okay, what if user tries to submit the form without entering the information in any of the text boxes? Okay, so in that case I should display a message as please fill all the details. Okay, and then I'm making an AJAX post request to update user.php with the form data. Okay, here with this I'm collecting the form data. Okay, I had created the object at the very beginning, and with the object of the form and with the object of the form I'm getting the data, and I'm passing that data to update user.php, and a request, an AJAX post request will get made to this update user.php, where I'm collecting all the information from the form, username information, email information, okay, then gender, user file information, okay, and then temporary information of the file I'm storing inside the temp variable, and then here I'm mentioning the path inside which I want to upload the images, and then immediately after that I'm calling the move uploaded file method. It takes two parameters, which is the temporary file name and then the path in which I'm storing the images, okay, and to this, which is the uploads folder, and here I'm appending the name of the file which I'm trying to upload to this uploads folder. And so this path variable holds the address of the image where the uploaded image will get saved, okay, and then I'm making an SQL query using update clause, okay, and then I'm updating the information inside the TBL users with the new information, okay, where the ID is the selected user ID, selected users record ID. Okay, with this, when the SQL query will get executed successfully, I will be displaying a message as user updated successfully message to the user. Okay, and this message will get returned and accessed here inside this jQuery code using this data. Okay, and immediately once I updated the data inside the table, okay, when this code successfully get executed, then I will immediately hide the model, which is edit user model, which is this model, okay, and then I will display a message as user data updated successfully, and then immediately after that I will be reloading the page. Okay, so I hope you understood how we managed to update the record in this tutorial. Okay, so this is everything about updating the user's record, the user's information by making an AJAX request using PHP. Okay, so that's everything about updating a record. Okay, so I hope you like this video. I hope you got some useful and valuable information out of this video. If you like this video, click on like button, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And thanks for watching.